So in this video we will create those two methods, scroll right and scroll left. It will take integer dy, dx not dy, because we are scrolling horizontally. Then we will create try block, and in order to omit trash we will catch exception and name it, and we'll ignore it. In this try block we will set boolean temp right is equal to no more right. Then we will create another try block. In this try block we will set no more left is equal to false, which we will engage our recycler view functionalities. So we will set scrolling is equal to true. Then we will detach and scrap attached views, and we will pass here recycler. Then we will create one more try block. Inside this try block we will create for loop. Integer I is equal to last pose I is greater than or equal to not equal to I is greater than 0, I minus minus. So we will get view using here recycler dot get view for position, and we will pass I. Then we will use float translation is equal to, we will get view translation using view dot get translation x, and in this translation x we will add our tx. Then we will use translation is equal to math dot min, and we will get view translation by passing I, and we will compare it with this translation. So we have a method get view translation. It will multiply position by width, and it will subtract differ from that one, and it will return the final translation for view. So we will compare those two translations, and thereafter we will get minimum translation. So we will set that translation to our view using view dot set translation x translation, and we will check if not in range translation. Then so we will create one more function over here, private boolean if not in range, and we will pass translation to this method, and we will check if translation is greater than max boundary or translation is less than inverted max boundary. Then we will return true, else we will return false. We will simplify this statement. So we calculated our max boundary on layout children. So it will be 2 into width minus 2 into differ. So if view translation is beyond this maximum boundary, then it will be not in range. So this function returns true in that case. So if this is the case, then we'll recycle our view using here recycler dot recycle view. Note that this recycler view dot item view cache size line is very important in our add new tab, because it will catch our item view so that our old tabs will be available. If you don't set this cache size for recycler view, then recycler view will bind item to the new view holder, and you might lost your previous tabs, your previous tab states. Hence this method set item view cache size is very important, and we are setting item count e as cache size for our recycler view. So if its translation is within range, then we will add view. If it is not within range, then we will recycle view. Then we will create finally block for our try block. And as you can see, we have condition I is greater than 0. So we need to add this 0th position view. So we will do this in our finally block. So we will get that view first of all using here recycler.getView for position, and we will pass 0. Then float translation is equal to view dot get translation x plus tx, then translation is equal to math dot min. So our first view will have 0 translation, and we will compare 0f with translation, and then we will set translation x to the final translation obtained by math.min call. Again we will check if not in range translation, then we will recycler that view using here recycler.recyclerView view. Else if translation is within range, then we will add that view using add view. Then after that we will check if translation is equal to 0a, then that means that there is no more write. So we will set no more write to true. Thereafter we will set scrolling to false. So other functionality will be accessible. Then we will create catch block. We will catch exception E if there is any exception within our code. Then we will set no more write is equal to temp write, that is our previous value of no more write. Then we will set scrolling is equal to false to indicate end of our functionality or scroll right functionality. Then we will catch exception in this case also. We will call it E1, and we will set scrolling is equal to false in that case. And to omit crash, we will wrap try catch exception ignored around it. So this is our scroll right function. Now we will create private void scroll left function, and we will pass dx to it. Then we will create try block. We will catch boolean temp left is equal to no more left value. Then we will create another try block. We'll set no more right to false because there is right present when we scroll to left. We'll set scrolling is equal to true to indicate some functionality is happening. Then we will detach and scrap attached views, and we will pass here recycler. Then we will create one more try block. In this try block we will create for loop for int I is equal to 0, I is less than last pose, and I plus plus. So we will add that last pose view in finally block later on. But now in this for loop we will get view using here recycler.getView for position, and we will pass I. Then we will subtract translation from view.get translation x minus translation, that is our dx, our scrolled value. Then translation is equal to math dot, we will compare max translation. So we will use minus get view translation, and we will pass last pose minus I. We will compare it with our translation view dot set translation X translation. Then we will check if not in range final translation, then we need to recycle that view using here recycler.recycleView. Else we will add view, so we will create finally block thereafter. So we will get view for position last pose, then we will subtract its translation, then we will check, so it will have max translation 0f. We will compare our calculated translation with 0f and we will set the final translation to our view using view.setTranslationX. Then if it is not in range, then we will recycle view, else add view. So just copy and paste this block. Now we will check if translation is equal to 0f. If this is the case, then we will set no more left is equal to true, and we will set scrolling is equal to false to indicate that we finished our functionality scroll left. Then we will create catch block for this try block, outer try block. Here we will create one more try, catch exception E1, and if there is any exception, then we will set no more left is equal to our previous value, that is temp left. Then we will set scrolling is equal to false. Now we will create one more try catch block, and this time we will ignore our exception using exception ignored, and we will set scrolling is equal to false over here. And for outer try block we will catch exception, but we will ignore it since it is well handled in inner blocks. So those are our two methods. Now we will check our scrolling functionality is working or not in emulator. So as you can see, now we can scroll our views. We can maximize our views. We can minimize our views. If the view is beyond the max boundary, then it will recycle that view. So in the next video, we will create functionality for removing view from our tab manager when we click on this remove image button.